Whoops. Thank you. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Town of New Shum Town Council meeting for Wednesday, December 15th, 2021. Item number 1 on the agenda is public comment. Does anybody have any comments under public comment? Kristen Bauman? And I wanted to remind everybody that if you want to speak during the meeting, to please step up to the mic so the public on the Zoom or on the YouTube can hear it. That'd be appreciated. Thank you so much.
I'm going to wear my mask, but I think it's okay at the mic.
Yeah, as long as you're at the mic, it's clear.
It's clear? Okay, good. I'm Kristen Bauman. I'm a resident of High Street, and I actually have one quick thing. And that's, and I don't know what Dr. Warkup's going to say tonight, but you know, there's been stuff on the bulletin and stuff, but the library has sort of like these plastic barriers that we bought for all our desks. And if town hall needs any, please let me know. I just thought of it as you three were sitting together. Mary Ann, I totally would have called you on that, but since you were all sitting together, I want you to know that we have extras. If you need them, let us know. My public comment is that I've been sort of scratching at an idea that I've talked to a couple people in this room about. I wrote a letter to the planning. I hired an attorney who wrote a letter to the housing board about. I tried to follow up with that correspondence, but I couldn't find the meeting where it was going to be talked about. And then last week I ended up at planning board because their agenda item was about 513 housing and the ordinance for the housing for 513s. And that's what this idea that I have is about. And so I want to share it publicly with the council and with the public and with everyone. And it's this idea of allowing 513s to be ownable. Right now, a 513 by definition is accessory to the house that it's on. And I am personally in the process of trying to sell my home. And I have to tell you that when a potential buyer comes into my home, it is the first question and the number one question. And really the only thing they're concerned about is how do they get that 513 off the books so they can live in it. That's a problem. Right? If I'm hearing that, we know realtors are hearing that. We know that happens. We know we have less 513s than we've ever, than we've had in the past, that we have lost them to this, we lose them to this attrition process of new ownership in houses, and then the 513s go away. And so I think this idea of letting it be ownable has some merit. I think it preserves them as 513s, right? We put them into the housing board stock. They're deeded that way. They will always be a 513. I think by definition of what a 513 is, this definition may change. The planning board is looking at these numbers, but it's currently 2 bedrooms. They're considering 3. It's currently 1,100 square feet. They're considering 1,400 square feet. They may change a little, but really with those parameters, it'll always be somewhat affordable, somewhat attainable. I like to call that workforce housing. And currently you can't own it, right? It's only a rentable unit. My situation is a personal situation, but I think it has also has merit as descriptor, as a description. And so you can understand this idea that I'm talking about. So I don't have enough land to subdivide, and I can't own my 513 because you can't condoize them as they're currently in the ordinance. So as the planning board looks at new language for 513s, it's what they're currently working on. It's what the agenda item is that I spoke to last week was about. I'm asking for a bigger discussion, a larger investigation as to, is this idea good? Does it have merit? Would the council like to take a leadership role on that? And have a bigger discussion. I've yet to really hear why it's not good. I'm open to that. I heard there was one comment from housing, from planning. And that was, if we lose all the 513s to ownership, we won't have enough rentals, right? We know that we need more rentals in this town as well. And so we don't want to lose them all to ownership. But I think that's highly unlikely. I don't think every 513 will become ownered. So that's the only negative comment I've heard yet. And I'm happy to answer questions or if anything I said doesn't make sense, because I have been poking at it for a number of months now, and I'm happy to talk about it today. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen.
Yeah.
I tuned in to watch that. It was a really interesting planning meeting. I'm so glad they're talking about the 513s.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear what they think. This is a pretty broad discussion from what I heard.
Yeah, it was. So the planning board was good. They asked me how I thought it could happen, and I said condo, right? And so again, my personal situation is I'm surrounded by condos. So I'm like, why can't I, right? I mean, there's condos at the pharmacy, there's condos at the marina, there's the Sheffield House has a condo situation. There's condos everywhere in my neighborhood. So the chair, her comment was intriguing. There were some other comments, the member, Chris Willey, he got it right away. He saw it as going into the housing board stock, he got it. He could see how that would work. I believe it's from his past experience on the council and as a member of this community, like housing's a problem and he wants to address it.
Is that fair, Susha? Is that what happened at the meeting? I was excited about that meeting because we're looking at broadening our.
Sosha, would you mind stepping up to the mic just for, I know, but just so the public that's not here in the room could hear your comments.
Formal. Anyway.
We won't put a big light on you. We just need to hear you.
There was
Thank you.
another suggestion out there that intrigued me greatly. And that was, there are buildings today that, accessory buildings today that could be used as 513s if it weren't for their size. And so we were playing around with the idea of, well, why don't we grandfather in those structures up to a certain date and allow them to become 513s rather than renting out the whole home and the 513 to, let's say, 11 people versus an average size family in the accessory building. People take better care of the property. There's less disturbance to the neighbors, things like that. So I was really intrigued by the whole concept of looking at broadening our perception of what housing could be on Block Island.
Thank you very much, Sosha. I look forward to having that conversation. And I'm hoping we have many of those after the first of the year. I'm hoping it dominates our agendas because I think that this is the biggest problem facing the island right now is the housing for the workforce, as Kristen said. So if there's any way that I heard Kristen through a meeting, another meeting I was attending, you were at that planning board meeting, and I did go home and watch that meeting. And I think it's something we all need to be part of. But I really think, in the upcoming year, I'm hoping that we can have agendas filled with the discussion on housing. And that's what I'll say on that topic without being, I don't say this is just the start of it, but I thank you, Kristen, for bringing that up to the planning board. And I thank the planning board for looking at it. But I think there's a lot more people that need to start getting involved, like the actual people who need housing. You know what I mean? Like you and I have housing. We're not out of housing, but the people that are out of housing, you rarely see them speaking up for their needs in the community. And I think that is, we know we have a housing an issue. I think almost at the point where we need these people screaming in the room. And I welcome that. I welcome all that comment and from our workforce and, our friends we all know move twice a year, some with families, some single parents. And it's a crisis. I would label it as a crisis that needs to be addressed now. So I thank you for bringing that up this evening. Is any more public comment or any comment on that? Kim?
Wasn't gonna, but since we're on this topic, I just want to say there was a great article in that Sunday's New York Times about this very thing, about it, they call them accessory dwelling units and how they are changing to make them be able to be purchased at a lower rate, deed restricted. We have all the tools in place now. We just need to tweak it and check out the New York Times. I'm not a flaming liberal, but hey.
That was a great article.
And that's okay too, Kim, if you were a friend. We're all welcome. Is there any other public comments this evening? Seeing none, item number 2 on the agenda is a report from Tom Workup, Rock Island Medical Center Director, regarding COVID-19 and public health, and or discuss and act on an emergency town ordinance to mitigate the spread of COVID-19 to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the residents of and visitors to the town, which are imminently imperiled by an unforeseen circumstance. Doc, I see you're in the room and appreciate you coming.
Good evening. I'll make this document available to you. Unfortunately, we've had a significant spike. As many know, the state is now up to 692 per 100,000. Just in one day, it went from 620 to 692. On our island right now, as of this moment, we're aware of 12 cases over the last 8 days, 4 happening in the last 5 hours. So we have 2 over 65s, 4 adolescents, and we have 6, obviously 18 to 64. So we are cutting across all age groups at this particular point. In the last 2 hours, the superintendent has gone virtual with the schools. They had an earlier announcement during the day prior to being aware of the 3 high school students. After that, new calculus was made. At that particular point, we spoke again around 4 o'clock, 4:15. At that point, he made a decision to go virtual, and the school community has been made aware. So we are definitely having a bit of a surge for us personally. I cannot stress enough that when we go virtual, if I can really ask the parents to keep their students from congregating. What we ran into last year was when there was downtime, then families congregated together. We had Halloween parties, we have holiday gatherings. So if these kids are being asked to go virtual, please keep them separate. We have known 12. There are more out there. We just don't know that. We have people testing with home tests, which was one of them tonight. We have a school that's working extremely hard. They did 45 PCRs yesterday that were negative. Great. Did 40 rapids today. We had the 3 positives and 1 parent that had called in with a home test, plus we identified, 2 more at the office today. So just today alone, we had 6. So it's definitely going to be more. I'm proud to say that just before I came here, we administered the very first monoclonal antibodies to a patient on the island. So we have that therapeutic intervention now. I really thank the partners at the state level. The people that are at the Hospital Association of Rhode Island have really made it happen. I was off island. I brought the stuff back. We've administered the first dose. I will get out a bigger communication about this, but monoclonal antibodies is to jumpstart your viral reaction. So we give you antibodies of people that had very successful reactions to fighting off coronavirus, both Delta as well as the original Alpha variants. We then give you those antibodies to get your viral load down, let your body start to attack it and give you some time to improve. The recommendations are anybody over 65 that is symptomatic. Anybody under 65 with certain comorbidities are eligible. So if you are aware that you're one of those individuals, give us a call at the medical center. We'll triage every case individually based on the different criteria. But we have both, we have 2 different forms of the monoclonal antibodies. They're both by infusion. One of them is eligible to be through subcutaneous injections without an IV. But the problem is that it's 4 fairly large volumes to put into somebody through a needle. So you might as well just do an infusion, which is how they were originally studied. So Geron was one of them, and then one called BAM-E. So we have them both. I'm excited to have them. We'll be giving more updates on that in the future. We have really wonderful vaccination data. As of yesterday's DOH, the 0 to 19 age group with at least one dose, 96.7%. And those with fully vaccinated, 75.8%. That's wonderful. December 29th, you can go to our website. There's a link right there. December 29th, Pfizer for adults. And also, as of yesterday, when I looked, there were 8 5 to 11-year-old slots still available. So if anybody's interested, please go to the website. I know they do accommodate some walk-ins, but please go early so they can identify you and also get a sense of the numbers. I please also encourage those adults that have chosen not to get vaccinated to please reconsider getting vaccinations with this Omicron variant. We have one known variant in the state of Rhode Island. It'll be many more to come. Where this is a highly transmissible, some state more than twice the transmissibility of Delta. It has less lethality, but more and more information will be out on that. And again, this is my personal opinion, this is a classic example of that we are in this together. And at this particular time of year, most of us are the ones that are here living all year round. Please wear your mask where it's appropriate. Please socially distance. Please encourage your student to not congregate with their friends during this particular period of time. We will get through this if we can let it peter out. But my suspicion is that we'll get more than a handful additional positives over the next several days. And then, we'll manage them accordingly.
Thank you, Tom. Council, Keith or Mark?
Yeah, I'll start. First of all, I applaud you for putting these presentations on the bulletin board. Extremely helpful, especially for people who get their information from a bar stool or from the breakfast counter. It's really helpful that that comes out. So any more of those would be applauded. And if we're earning so many gold stars for our compliance and we're overachieving, how come we're having so many
More new cases?
Exactly.
I think it's really a great, probably misrepresentation of the original narrative, which is really the narrative is quite clear now that get vaccinated so you can enjoy the benefits of being vaccinated, which is that if you're in contact with somebody that becomes positive, you don't need to quarantine. And then if any of your family members have contacted you, a contact of a contact no longer needs to quarantine. That's been quite the status quo for quite a while. So there is privileges of being vaccinated, but it doesn't necessarily mean you won't get it. It just means you will unlikely to need to be hospitalized. So breakthrough cases of coronavirus for those that are fully vaccinated still, as of today, 2.26%. So it doesn't mean you'll never get it. It just means you're unlikely to really suffer any real side effects. One adolescent that we had today is unvaccinated. And I don't know the status of the one random adult, but it's in our community. I think we've been blessed to have such a small community and our burden hasn't been large. So to get 12 in an 8-day period of time, knowing that there's probably a handful more right now as we speak, is concerning. And it can go through us pretty quickly because we are so small. We are so kind of a condensed on our own island here. But we also have the same nimbleness to try to snuff it out. Be smart, wear our masks, do the things we know how to do.
Is this the new state mandates? Does that supersede us or are we still on our own indoor mask wearing and such?
I don't know the technicalities. I think you can't exceed the state's requirements, but you can be more, you can't be more liberal than the state's requirements, but you can be more conservative than that, if I'm thinking of that correctly. But obviously, I think the reason why we've had low rates is we have been more conservative. I know it's not been a very popular governing position at times, and you guys have taken certainly the heat as any public officials would, but it was the right thing to do. I think it's shown that we've kept the island fairly safe. We are going to go through bumps in the road, and this is one of them.
I'm just thinking that we have an indoor mask mandate. Now, on Monday, the state takes over and says you don't need a mask indoors if you're vaccinated. Is that going to really confuse everybody on Block Island?
So just let me jump in here if you don't mind. Our mask ordinance, as the doctor said, he's correct. The governor came out with, he's going to come out with an executive order we can do more than that. And we have been doing that. Keep in mind, we've had a mask ordinance in place since September 2nd. The state didn't have anything, and we were okay with that. So our mask ordinance is in effect, and we can have something, I guess, more aggressive than what the state's doing.
And on the flip side of that, we can't do anything less than what the state is gonna come out, and say, and tell us. But right now, we're doing more. And I think we're okay with doing that. The state's okay with us doing that.
Super. So now everybody knows that, so they can't not wear their masks.
You know, I think if there's any way for us to refresh and reinvigorate that idea that mask wearing is important, vaccinations are important. It's some studies, it's 25 times more likely to get an infection if you're not vaccinated. I mean, the numbers are staggering. And I know that there are some individual adults that have chosen not to get vaccinated. I respect that individual choice, but it's the data is quite compelling for safety. And so therefore, if they have a child that's not vaccinated, please consider them to get vaccinated. And we have the tools. We just have to reinvigorate the ability to do it consistently with high fidelity.
Just how difficult is it for you not to say, I told you so? With so much information out there.
It's definitely personal free will. We understand that, but I think it gets back to something we've said early on. You can choose not to get vaccinated, but you can't choose how someone who may get infected from you, how their body responds. And so therefore that singular choice not to do it, I respect that, but then wear your mask, socially distance, isolate if you must. But to have that same non-vaccinated individual be out there without a mask now becomes reckless, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Agreed, Doctor.
Okay.
Keith?
So first of all, great work on the monoclonal treatment. That's really impressive. I was so pleased when I saw that video from you guys. That's wonderful stuff. I have this just over the last several days. It has occurred to me that I think we know a lot about what's going on in the schools and the school's response. I think thanks to Kristen, we know a lot about the great work that the library has done with masking and distancing, et cetera. But we do have this one population, and I'll grant you I have a bias because I have a 16-month-old granddaughter. We do have this population that is unvaccinated, not because they've made a choice not to be vaccinated, but because they can't be vaccinated. Mm-hmm. Which leads me to, I'm asking Mary Ann, please, before our next meeting, to get a very clear sense of what the policy is at the Early Learning Center. Are they going virtual? Are they having everybody wear masks? What are the protocols that they have in place? And I happen to think they ought to be formal, and we ought to, as sort of, I suppose, in a way, for our little town, the last line of defense in terms of public health and safety. I want to know very clearly what their policies are.
Just to reiterate, because I, like many of you, are very aware of the informal information stream on the island. As of this moment, we only know of 12, no more than that. So if there's information out there that there's more, please have them come forward. We're happy to get tested, but officially we only know of 12 people.
By 11 o'clock, it'll be 462. That'll be the story that goes on.
It's funny, I had a quick test done yesterday, and I knew the result in 15 minutes. It came in on my phone that your results are available. But it took me over an hour to figure out on the phone how to
Is it a flip phone?
to get my
Do you
results.
have a flip phone? So the other thing that's exciting is Mary Ann and myself had a meeting with the superintendent of the schools, and we've kind of collectively come up with this kind of SWAT team approach. Will be a member of the school district, which he's identified as Linda Kloster, the nurse, one of our kind of dear nurses on the island. She will represent the school. Tracy will represent the EMS system. I'll represent or designee of the medical center. We'll kind of have a sit down once a week. What do we know? Everybody plugged into the state. Who needs help? Who doesn't need help? So that way we've identified different information streams that made me think about what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Remember, we have the state piece, the school's PCRs go to the Dominion labs by contract. They then communicate with the DOH. That takes time. The DOH gets, when we do it at the medical center, it goes to East Side Labs. And then when the state, when the DMAT team and Tracy and her team does it, it goes to the state lab. So we have 3 workflows, and we're trying to make sure we have a true north data set so we can advise you guys that we have 12 people. That's what we know of.
Thank you, Doctor. Does anybody have any questions? Public, go ahead. Bill?
I just wanted to say, from an EMA standpoint of view, for those that haven't been vaccinated, it's okay to change your mind. There's zero judgment on it. You know, and it's not even to defend or debate, you know, just look at the data. And if you have a position, I respect what that is, but it's okay to change your mind. Thank you.
Great point.
Thanks, Bill. Next time, can you come on to the microphone?
You can change your position. There's no
I
judgment.
can do it.
Well, we've had issues of, people at home can't hear sometimes, and that's why, you know, if you'd like to speak, if you want to speak, well, I'm going to ask you to step up to the microphone. Thank you. Any other comments from anybody on the topic? All right, thank you. Number 3 is a public hearing to receive and act on a proposed amendment to the Town of New Salem General Ordinances, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 4, Public Property, Division 3, Capital Improvements. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Seconded by Keith. All those in favor, Mark?
Aye.
And Keith. I am in favor. The motion will carry to open the public hearing on the proposed amendments to the New Salem General Ordinances, Chapter 2, Administration, Division 3, Capital Improvements, New Salem Town Council. I think we had discussed having a lack of, without Martha and Sven here. I'm going to ask if you guys would want to just kind of continue this now that it's open. I'm happy to discuss it this evening, but with the 2 other counselors missing, we can continue it until a set time, I believe, a set meeting. I don't know. So what's your pleasure on that?
I mean, it's fine with me. I actually was going to ask a question that I've had at
Oh, the public hearing's open. You can open it. I mean, you can ask a
I just
question.
have, no, I mean, I have this procedural question, or at least sort of tradition question, because I have a couple of questions about this reg, and do I raise those during the public hearing, or do I raise them when we actually, you know what I mean? I don't want to take the public's time with stuff that I have, you know what I mean? I'm just curious about how that works.
Well, I think we opened a public hearing. I think you can comment if you'd like.
It's a public hearing, it's just that, it's comments, it's question, it's information back and forth.
Great. Well, I have 2 questions. One is, in the proposed reg, there is a 12 establishment priority for all projects based on an analysis of the effect of each project on the community, and then it has 12 things. Is that ranked?
No, it's not.
Because it's not in the order that I would choose, that's why.
No, it's not ranked.
Okay. And then the other thing, and this is just sort of, I'm really just ruminating on this because I went to I was at the planning meeting where you presented, Marianne, and this was discussed. And I totally get the reason for this. I think we need to thread a needle here on efficiency of the capital planning process, et cetera. You know, whatever date we continue this to, I'd like to continue the conversation around whether we've gotten it exactly right, because I actually value that tradition of the planning board sort of having input. And it looks like now under these regs, the only basis for planning to assert concerns is whether or not a project is compliant with the comprehensive plan. And I don't think that's enough. So I want to put that out there because I just think, you know, we have whether it's, as Andre says, major housing things, or, we have a range of capital needs, as you know, Marianne, because you work on it every day, and Amy knows you work on it every day. But to me, part of the value of having the planning board input is more broadly sort of socializing some of the conversations around capital needs. So I just, it's not clear to me that we've threaded the needle there, and I want to continue to have that conversation. So.
Thank you, Keith.
Motion to continue.
Does anybody else want to make any comment?
I've had my time.
You're not getting the last word.
Now Sven might want to be a part of this too. So,
You
we'll
good?
continue it.
You good until continuing it?
Mhm.
My only question would be, by removing it from the planning board process, are we enhancing public participation in the democratic process? Or are we kind of not? Like, would this be an act of removing something from a public process that was part of the public process and centralizing it within one department, so to speak?
So as I look at it, and Amy can jump in because she has more of a historical perspective as to how this all worked in the past, and it's also in the ordinance. What happened in the past, all the department heads went to the planning department and presented their capital plan. As I understand it, that became somewhat cumbersome for the planning. So what happened a few years ago with the previous town manager, that they looked at this ordinance and they drafted this ordinance to give it back to the administration, working with Amy and I, obviously during the budget cycle, anything with the budget, we're joined at the hip. And then that we then give it back to the planning board to see if it's in compliance with the comprehensive plan, because clearly we don't want to have a major capital improvement in a budget that doesn't comply with that capital plan. Although it states here that it complies with the capital plan, there's nothing that precludes the planning board from communicating with the council. Anything else in regards to that capital budget, it doesn't tie him in. It does say to him, it has to be in compliance with the capital plan, with the, comprehensive plan. So that's my understanding as to why this ordinance was changed and rewritten so that it now rests in the administration. And also it's all part of the budgetary process. So when you get it, it's still part of all the budgetary process of all the public hearings that the council has, or the dialogue the council has, subject to the financial town meeting and everything else. So there's still that opportunity for dialogue.
To have a bite of the apple with the financial, like
Yeah.
during the budget process.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Anybody, while the public hearing's open, comments at this time? Seeing none, I'll make a motion. Oh, Kristen Baumann?
I'll come back for the continued meeting, but at this point, I'd just like to say, I also value that process with the planning board. It was always helpful for me as a department head to have a wider discussion. I always learned a lot. I'm not a builder. I remember many years of, builders being on planning board. There's builders now on planning board. So that was always good information for me to have and to discuss. There was always a varying skill level and competency about that. And so I just want to echo Keith that I value that discussion. It makes me concerned about the future. While we have a town manager who feels confident about changing the ordinance and her skill level of what she can do, I'm not sure we'll always have a town manager that has that skill level. And so will we then be changing the ordinance back to go to the planning board? So I have some concerns about that, which again, may not be appropriate for this tenure, but could be in the future. And I have a concern about the legality of it, that the planning board is enabled through state legislation to participate in the capital improvement projects. And so I don't know where this falls legally.
Thank you. Do we have any comments? Sosha, I hate to put you on the spot and make you walk up to the microphone again, but as a member of the planning board, do we have input from the planning board on this?
I don't know if you received input. I do know that my personal position was in favor of this change because I felt that we spent a lot of time dealing with very relatively small numbers that dealt with maintenance. On the other hand, what we lose in this process is the planning board will not be hearing which projects have been rejected or which requests from department heads have been rejected. I like to continue the conversation around long-term planning. That to us is very important because it spells out what our priorities are. And the fact that we get to look at the proposal and that we have an opportunity to give a response to you is just about equivalent to what we had before. I thought that in the past, the comments that were, or the suggestions and comments that were made by the planning board were probably the most valuable, were more valuable than the numbers. And so as long as we don't lose that ability, I am in support of what's happening now.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say, I actually went to that planning meeting and Mary Ann and the planning committee had, I mean, it was pretty lengthy conversation about this. So this is not sort of, you know, a bolt out of the blue. But Sosha's comments, you know, in a way are kind of consistent with mine. I just want to make sure we're threading the needle the right way, because there's all kinds of compelling reasons to sort of clean it up administratively and et cetera. But I just want to make sure that I'm comfortable with the level of input from planning because I really value that.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Sosha. Any other comments? I will make a motion to continue the public hearing until
Fourth, Tuesday, the 4th, it's right at the holidays.
I know, and we have to continue a lot, put stuff off.
I know,
The
that's what I was
4th
thinking.
and,
So you want to go for the 19th?
well, so the question is, what are we gonna put on the 19th? We have all the appointments we're gonna do tonight. Will that be on the 4th or the 19th or? We do have to
I
set,
think the appointments will be on the 4th.
we have to set a date certain.
Right. I would go with the 19th. And we'll bundle up the 4th now that we know that this will be on there.
Okay, I was hoping to do the appointments on the 19th.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that.
No, I know, I will talk to you about that.
So we can move this to the 4th then.
This is an agenda crafting, discussion that shouldn't be here, but let's just say the 4th. I
And then if we
mean,
need
we've
to,
got
we
it.
can continue it again.
I think we have,
We're gonna have the opportunity to not.
I think we have concerns and some concerns spelled out to think about before then and as a start and or questions, not, questions or concerns. And Martha and Sven will probably be ready. The 4th would be good. And maybe the appointments too. I just want to talk about that. So I'll make a motion to continue this public hearing until January 4th. Seconded by Keith. All those in favor, Mark?
Aye.
And Keith?
Yes.
I am in favor. The motion will carry 3-0. Item number 4 on the agenda is receive and act on the report of the town manager, Public Works, Finance, School, Library, Recreation, Administration, Harbors, Broadband, Police, Roads, and Cable. I just want to let you know, I did go to print this evening and Amy's here, so it's a 30-page document, so I chose not to print it at home. But I do have it in front of me and I want to thank you for preparing that with Mary Ann. Mary Ann, go ahead.
So You all have a copy of my town manager's report and with the information. I would like to not read that this evening because I think I have something much more important to discuss with the council this evening. Fiona Molly Fitzpatrick has worked with the town since June 5th, 1994, and was appointed town clerk on March 6th, 2000. Molly, do you have any idea how many town council and board meetings you've attended? Maybe hundreds? How about thousands?
I'd say over 1,000.
We have 52 weeks in a year, and all too often, over the decades, the council and others have scheduled multiple meetings at hours of the day and into the night, with deadlines to get published according to the open meetings law that few understand. Clearly, Molly has mastered that. Over the years, Molly has seamlessly worked through many transitions. The building of an addition on Town Hall, guiding the town council through the process of what their elected positions entail, and welcome and educating new town managers. Molly delivered with professionalism and a smile as she's doing under her mask that I can see. Molly has effortlessly overseen many elections, special elections, and volunteer. Molly has long been the town's best foot forward, interacting with the public. She has served with thoughtfulness and a compassion, and effortlessly overseen many volunteers and has instructed employees and co-workers. To quote one fellow employee who stated, "Molly always listened and offered support when needed. I have learned so much from you since our early days, sharing a small workspace in the town clerk's office." Martha Ball, I'm sorry I can't be here this evening. It's going to be hard to imagine town clerk's office without Molly as she enters into retirement. A long, well-deserved retirement. Molly, the past 2 years you have demonstrated your commitment and dedication, especially in the most sacred realm of town clerkdoms. To quote Martha, protecting and preserving of old irreplaceable town records, all the while bringing us into a new era. Molly organized and managed with grace with extra town council meetings because of the COVID of 2020 and 2021. Along with the rest of us, Molly had embraced and mastered Zoom and YouTube for the meetings during a time we now call the new normal. But leading up to them, it is anything but normal, often filled with stress and unknown, and often at the last minute. Molly learned to become a professional juggler. In a short time here, I found Molly to be pleasant and helpful. Whether it was rescheduling meetings for my interview and constantly saying to me when she was rescheduling, "They really want you to participate in the interview. Don't think they're not interested in you when they move the schedule." As well as moving my family here. If it wasn't for Molly, I'd probably be still searching for a moving truck on the mainland. While we were sad to see Molly leave Town Hall, we thank her for all the years of her leadership and commitment. You have set up the town clerk's office for success as we move forward. And now, Molly, you can enjoy your evenings, especially Monday and Wednesday, with no more meetings, less stress, fewer phone calls, no recordings, no Zoom, and YouTube connections. Instead, a trade to a relaxing night with a good book and friends. Please join me in wishing Molly all the best and thank her for the years that she served with dedication
what's behind
here
the
to
door?
the town.
Thank you, Marianne, for your very kind words, possibly too kind. It's been a profound privilege to serve the community in my capacity as town clerk. Something that I will cherish forever. I won't bother to go down the list of the first wardens that I've served under, starting with Dick Kiley, Martha Ball, Jack Savoy, and on and on. I don't want to miss any, but it has been a profound privilege to serve. And I thank you for your kindness, and I really look forward to having Wednesday nights off.
Kim Gaffett,
Do you mind?
former first warden.
It's really hard not to know what to say. I'm probably one of the few people in this room who knows what a gigantic job being the town clerk is and how hard it is. It's all of those things that Mary Ann just read, but the personal connection, it just amplifies it. It makes it that much harder and that much more rewarding. And I think Molly and I would probably agree that it's not always a thankless job. Sometimes there's a lot of reward in it. But as a first warden, former first warden, I know that the job could not be done without a good, solid town clerk. And I thank you for all those years, not only on my own behalf, but the town's behalf, because we're all in a better place. I can't imagine what it would be like to have to go and deal with a new town council every 2 years. Even if it's only one different person, it's a whole different complexion, a whole nother person to train, a whole nother person saying, no, you can't do that. The law doesn't allow you to meet out there, etc. It's a huge, giant task. And to do it in your style has been terrific to watch. It's the epitome of what I think Block Island does best, which is take good talent and let them get trained and trained up for a job and become from in the clerk's office to the town clerk for as long as you have, to be at the height of your professional career at this point in this job. It's great. Block Island does that very well, whether it's in the sewer department, the water department, town councils, clerk's office. It's been a great example. And you've been a great example, and I really appreciate and thank you for that and for all the time that you spent with town councils and for the town. And don't think you're getting out of this. I get a lot of empty chairs here on those Monday and Wednesday nights. You can bring your gardening books and join us. So thank you, Molly, personally for all the years that you've given to the town and the help to me. Thank you. I never did it alone. I've always had a phenomenal team, and it gives me tremendous satisfaction to know that I'm going to be leaving the clerk's office in such great hands.
Council, any comments on the retiring clerk? Thank you, Molly. I mean, I feel pressure to say something, but I can't say anything that hasn't been already said, except that, you know, your and my relationship is different from first wardens and everything. We knew each other as, you know, as friends, I'd like to say, before I came into this, and you had been in here for so long. But I was thinking about this today, and I think the adjustment that everyone's going to have to make is what Mary Ann said right at the outset of what she said, is that it's going to take a long time for us, and I think for the general public, to walk into town hall and not see Molly. You're going to be sorely missed. Just, you know, you need to, you know, just so you know that. And as I know well, that was what I was going to say. We know you're going to retire, but we know you're always still going to be a resource. And I think that just speaks to what Kim also said, is you know, coming up from being an employee, Kim is still a resource, and she's retired. I don't see this day as an ending. I see it as a new beginning, and I really want to thank you for all your years of service to this institution and a job well done. Thank you so much. You want to be on the Deer Task Force? That's right. She can serve on the Deer Task Force now. I'm sure you do, and we've heard them all. I look forward to that discussion. All right, well, she saved us from a treasurer's report of 30 pages, Mary Ann. Surprise. Are there any comments on the actual town manager's report? We've had it, finance, we've had it. We have it. It's on court base. Comments from the public or the council?
Just one thing stood out. Do we still purchase salt out here? I thought we didn't apply salt to our roads.
We do. I think it's a mixture. It's a mixture.
Yeah, and last time I remember inquiring about that, salt was mostly being used just on like tough areas that are like the S turn up by the, when in dangerous areas.
High Street, okay.
High Street, out by the police station. I don't think that we're applying it to all the roads all the time, because that did come up at, at a meeting way back when, so to speak.
They usually apply the same.
Yeah. You good? All right. Keith?
I just had one quick one. I got a text today from Lars, and I should have mentioned this before, but it could be any of us. He's wondering if the chamber can get a case of masks for the Christmas season. I don't know whether we usually get those or I think you have been, or Bill has been. I just wanted, I knew I would walk out forgetting it, and it wasn't on the agenda anywhere, so.
No, sorry. Right on. Thank you so much. Next item on the agenda, item number 5, is to receive and act on a recommendation of New Shoreham Board of Assessors for tax abatements for 2020 and 2021. These are all, who usually presents these, Mary Ann or?
These are, as you know, the Board of Assessors are the ones that have the authorization to issue the abatements, and it's just a vote from the council to authorize the abatements as they have recommended.
Molly,
Yeah.
individual motions?
No. One motion.
One.
Okay.
Unless you want to single someone out or not.
No, I'm just asking what the way to do it is.
You will usually vote based on what it has been submitted by the Board of Assessors to approve the abatement test.
So that motion would be, just go through the list, grant so-and-so list, the abatement of.
Or as submitted.
As submitted, you can do that.
I will make a motion to grant the tax abatements as submitted by the New Shoreham Tax Board of Assessors.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any comments? Good. All those in favor? Keith?
Yes.
I'm in favor. Mark?
Aye.
Motion will carry 3-0 for the abatements. Number 6, authorize the town of New Shoreham broadband membership for DigSafe. That's pretty. Go ahead.
So this came from the broadband led by Amy and the rest of the staff that's working on broadband. It's just that broadband BI will now become part of DigSafe. So going forward, when folks decide to do some kind of excavation work or digging, that they need to reach out to DigSafe so that they avoid hitting fiber, keep in mind the utilities, other utilities in the town already participate in DigSafe also.
Thank you. Comments? Keith, Mark? I'll make a motion to authorize the town manager to execute all necessary documents for the town of New Shoreham Broadband to become a member of DigSafe. Seconded by Keith. All those in favor, Keith?
Yes.
Mark?
Aye.
And I am in favor. Motion will carry 3-0. Thanks for bringing that to us. That's gonna kind of necessary. Oh, I'm sorry.
Can I just do 2 sentences, which is sort of acknowledging to the public that this is gonna be the beginning of, in theory, a slight shift, right?
May you? Thank you.
This will be hopefully the beginning of a slight shift in some of the practices of excavation and digging around Block Island. And that's why we're starting this process now, because for the first time island-wide, we're going to have a lot more underground assets. There's some underground power, but now we're adding the fiber as well. And so I think it's going to become more important over time for people to get into that habit. And we're going to put some materials together that through the building department that help people along that path. I know it's been a little more fluid, and people tend to call as needed when they think something might be there. But since this is new and people don't always know where it should be or where it is, I think the DigSafe practice is going to be a little bit of a shift.
Yeah,
So-
appreciate that. Yeah.
And it is free to the person who is pulling the ticket. So there's no cost to the excavator to do that. And we're working with Certex now and then other partners in the future to make sure we can get things marked out pretty quickly so that nobody's jobs are held up.
Thank you. Thanks for that clarification. And thanks for your work on broadband. I know it's been a rabbit hole for you. And you've gotten through them, I think, just we'll certainly appreciate the work you've done on that. You and the broadband group. Next item. Receive an act on the mobile establishment licenses applications for 2022 on Diamo Zeke. Doing business as Aldo's Bakery, Sea the Light LLC doing business as Southeast Light Delights, and Sea Life Services Incorporated doing business as Farmstead Refreshments. These were put on the agenda. I have a question. I obviously have to recuse from my own license. And Kelly can clarify, but I spoke with Kelly today and there's a holdup with the state that's, I know, because you've probably been through it. I think we all have with the state trying to get these things renewed. I don't think we would have a quorum to vote on my license because I'm going to recuse.
You won't have a quorum, but you'll have a voting majority, because instead of, because you're recusing.
Okay.
It's different if you were absent.
Okay.
The rules of procedure allow a vote of 2 to 1 or 2 to 0.
Okay.
The rules of procedure allow a vote to carry with 2 votes if the third member is recusing.
Okay. All right. So thank you on that. I will recuse for that then. So someone needs to take over the meeting for that. I think Kelly's not really ready. But while I'm here, I'll make a motion to approve the Andiani Ozeki DBA Aldo's Bakery MFE food license for the year 2022.
Second.
Seconded by Keith. All those in favor? I'm in favor.
Aye.
Mark's in favor.
Yes.
Motion will carry 3-0. Okay, so we got that one done. One of you guys will have to take over, and Kelly, I don't know if you want to explain it.
Keith, why don't you go for it?
All right, I'll make a motion to approve a mobile food establishment license for Sea the Light LLC doing business as Southeast Light Delights.
Second.
Could I ask you to make that spelling receipt of a ballot 20 from the state of Rhode Island mobile food establishment license?
Pending pending receipt of a state mobile food establishment license for 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Andre. We have some bad news for you.
Might be time for new business anyway. Kelly, you're all good? Okay, thank you. Minutes. You guys read the minutes and ready to approve minutes? I will make a motion that we approve the minutes for November 1st, 2021 open.
Second.
Seconded by Mark. Hold on, let me get those up. I had a question on one of them. It was it this one? It wasn't those. All those in favor on November 1st, 2021 open? All those in favor? Keith?
Yes.
Mark?
Aye.
I'm in favor. Motion will carry 3-0. I bet that feels good, Molly, huh? Minutes approved. Make a motion to approve the November 1st, 2021 closed session meeting, closed session minutes.
Now, there's one item there, I think we can, even though it's a closed session, that we can agree on. Just deals with who's present.
Yes,
Okay. I don't know if you picked it up.
I did not. Did I have to mention?
Well, yeah, it says I was here in attendance, and then the next sentence says I was absent.
Wow. Thanks, Mark.
Other than that, no problem.
And that's November 1st closed.
Correct.
Motion is made and seconded. All those in favor, Keith?
Yes.
I'm in favor, Mark.
Aye.
Motion will carry 3-0 with the changes requested by Councilor Manuel. Motion be in order to approve the minutes of Wednesday, November 17th, 2021.
Second.
Seconded by Mark. Molly. Number 7 on the second page, discuss an act, oh, wait a minute. Nope, sorry. Hold on. I got that. I'm sorry, there wasn't anything there. Motion made second. All those in favor? Keith, me and Mark, I'm in favor. Motion to be in order for closed session, November 6th. Second. Comments?
It's December 6th.
December 6th, sorry, what did I say? Motion to approve the minutes of Monday, December 6th.
Second.
Wait a minute. Yep, got him. Seconded by any comment?
Just one comment. Only on December 6th, item number 9. Could you please include
The 17th closed because of.
Please include as the last sentence, Mr. Emmanuel requested that all moped owners or suitable representative be present for the next meeting. Or suitable representative.
Number 10, Mr. Bruce says he supports the application. It's about the hawkers and peddlers. Mr. Bruce said he supports the application and concept and asked the applicant to speak with the zoning official regarding whether the license is subject to zoning. As far as I can remember at that meeting, we had a discussion about that, and it was the zoning attorney that had said that it wasn't, she was subject to zoning in that area. So I guess I was asking if the zoning Bill Landry the land use attorney could clarify to us, or maybe has, or something like that, like, because I brought up, you know,
Yeah, you did. You asked for a
Did, that was at
determination.
the last meeting.
Yeah.
And I was going to bring it to the next meeting.
right, I mean, I just want to correct the minutes. I don't believe I asked the applicant to go to the zoning official. I think I had asked that we be provided with the opinion, out of clarity. She could, if she wants, but. Motion remains, is there anything else, council, on the minutes of, December 6th? Motion made and seconded to approve the motion, the minutes of December 6th. All those in favor with corrections, all those in favor, Keith?
Yes.
I'm in favor. And Mark,
Aye.
thank you. Motion will carry 3-0. I believe that's all that's on our agenda this evening.
I had one thing I wanted to mention, just to urge people to pay attention. We received an email today from Stephen and Laura Hester. And if you haven't read it, it's very much worth reading before our meeting with the school board on the 20th. It involves concerns about bullying and treatment of young members of the LGBTQ community. And it really bears reading, and it bears our attention, I think. So it came this afternoon, so in case you haven't read it, take a look.
Thank you, Keith.
And just a meeting scheduling, follow-up, I want to make sure that it's okay with you to have that meeting at 6:30 before the school meeting. 7 o'clock on the 20th. It's going to be a quick meeting to receive the audit and authorize the submittal to the state. It's not the audit review meeting.
Okay, yeah, I mean,
Action that has to be taken before the first meeting.
yeah, and I just want to reiterate, this isn't on an agenda, but we're just doing scheduling here. I think we're okay to talk about this. So you're asking that we have a meeting at town hall at 6:30, or?
Yeah, coming up at the school.
Oh, we can have a meeting at the school? As long as we post it that way. Yes, absolutely. So we will go on the 20th, we will go for a quick town council meeting at the school, and then attend the pre-budget required state mandated meeting with the school committee.
Right, you will take care of your business at 6:30.
Right.
Have that buttoned up and then meet with the school committee at 7.
Okay. Yep. Thank you so much. Let's take the opportunity to wish everybody a happy holiday and safe, great new year. This is our last meeting of 2021. What? I know, that's only one item. Okay, this is my last meeting. Again, we just want to say it's just another COVID year, and I wanted to say to the doctor, I'm glad you're still here, that you know, you are our de facto medical director, and through COVID, it started with Dr. Clark, and you came in, and I just want you to know that I think this body recognizes the amount of extra work that's been put on you, and you know, the chief and the town hall because of COVID and above and of everything else. And I'm very proud of my community this evening because I think we've all pulled it off and we've tried and we've learned a lot of things along the way. And I really hope that we can go into the new year with this knowledge of moving forward. Hopefully we'll be putting this behind us. We'll get back to our regular business. But I mean, I'll admit COVID has put a burden on everything we do. But I just want to reiterate, as the first warden, that I think I'm very proud of my community this year and last year. And, you know, I just want to move forward and hope that everybody's safe, everybody stays healthy. And we continue into the new year with a positive agenda, positive outlook. And that's it. So Merry Christmas and happy holidays to all, and a safe new year and healthy too. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Seconded by Mark. All those in favor? Okay, Keith, I'm in favor. Thank you, everybody.
So most people that's gonna make it at the end, I see it.
Yeah, let's say.
Thanks for all your help.
It's